All right, I'm gonna try and gather my thoughts here as I reflect on something. I'm also packing, so if you hear a little bit of movement or voice change and noise in the background, that's why. So, I'm a cisgendered heterosexual black man. What this means is, in my body, in my existence, this is what aligns for me. The world sees me visually in the way that aligns with how I view myself. So that's what the cis means and all of that. As a heterosexual, it just put simple, I am attracted to my reproductive counterpart. So, like, if I don't know what that means, like, for anything on the spectrum of intersex, but like, for as far as I know, like that's what I'm drawn to. I'm drawn to my reproductive counterpart. Blackness. So the color of my skin, it's dark, and it's black, and it comes with all of the associations, stereotypes, and all of whatever it is that you believe about black people. Like that is what is representative of what this means. Um, and then what's the other thing? It says gender, heterosexual, black man, and what it means to be a man. Socially conditioned. I mean, having a dick is one way that people say, this is what it means to be a man. Qualities that women don't have. This is what people say it means to be a man. Um, there's a lot of assumptions about what it means to be a man, and I think that I've seen people who haven't fallen under the umbrella of being what it means to be a man in the ways that I've always thought of it. Like I've seen more demonstrations of manliness from people who aren't men as well. Um, I think that a lot of what my role models demonstrated as far as manliness have really come from Japan. I'm a big anime lover, and as you look at a lot of the protagonists of stories, right? Like they strive toward these ideals. They are consistent in who they are. They know what their purpose is. And even if they don't know what their purpose is, let me backtrack on that. I'm not going to say that it's about purpose. It's more about alignment. I think about Demon Slayer, the anime where Tanjiro, the main character, he's just a kid and he leaves. He goes into town to sell some coal or something. Comes back, his family's been fucking murdered by demons, and his sister's like barely alive, and she's a demon. And he saves her. He's like, "This is my fucking sister. I don't give a fuck if she's a demon." And he like fights her. Somebody comes to try and save him and kill her. He does not let them kill his demon people flesh eating sister, and he earns the respect of this person who could literally kill his ass. Earns his respect, goes off to train to bring his sister back. That was his purpose. His purpose was to just keep his sister alive. And throughout, there are emergences of other senses of purpose throughout where, oh shit, I gotta save this person. Like, even those who are evil, those who have been turned into demons, they are too under his protection, if you will. Now, don't get it twisted. Tanjiro has killed demons, but he does so with reverence after, trying to tell them, hey, you ain't got to do this. You don't have to do this. But then he fuck them up, right? And that, I think to me, is more of a reflection of identity beyond masculinity, beyond femininity, beyond being a man, beyond being a woman. And throughout this, like, there's not any love interest. I watch how Tanjiro interacts with like women who are clearly attracted to him, and no matter what, he stays true to who he is. It's important to him that he trains. It's important to him that he turns his sister back into human. It's important to him that he stops the horrors of Muzan, the protagonist of the story, who's like wreaking fucking havoc, turning people into demons, and these demons running around and just fucking people up, right? These have been my role models. That's a newer one, but it's very popular, so I think I can speak to that. And I think that what society misses in terms of what it means to be a man is those intangible aspects of self, those virtues, those values, those ideals that drive consciousness forward. And anyone can live from a place of their ideals, from integrity, from wholeness, for the purpose of driving consciousness forward. And I'm learning that creation and destruction, masculinity and femininity, and the polarization of opposites, the concepts and ideologies that clash with one another, create the heat, the pressure, the friction that is necessary to build out the next steps forward. Now, where we get into issues is where when forward progress is reverted backwards rather than the consistent friction being what pushes things forward. Now, we don't have a story of Tanjiro emerges and 14-year-old him goes and just cuts off the head of the main antagonist, right? Then we don't have the story. We don't even have like time. We don't have experiences. Nothing's happening. Nothing's changing. All of the systems that have been in place aren't disrupted, but what we see is story development. We see character development. He's good. He's handling what he can and growing through what it is that he is taking in. He's growing and developing as a character. He's developing his technique. He's developing his breathing skills, and he's becoming someone who is capable of bringing his sister back to humanity, of ending the horrors, the grotesque. I'm leaving the ASEC conference, and I want to shout out to Dr. Donna Oriowo, who defined grotesque or had us like look at that word. And grotesque is like a very, very like it's very visual to me because I think about some of the demons in Demon Slayer, like one of the first ones that had like all the other heads and eyes emerging from it. It wasn't symmetrical, it was just odd, and it was grotesque in how it moved, in how it communicated, in what its actions were, right? So I just needed to get that, give credit where it's due. Um, and this friction, this discomfort, right? I think that the discomfort of oppositions, so to speak, like the up, the down, the good, the bad. If you take two opposite ends of a magnet and you hold them, far apart, nothing's happening. But when you start to bring them together, you notice that they begin to pull towards one another. And I think that what life is just a constant holding of these two magnets together, and the creation of the experience is within that magnetic field, right? So let's say we have life, we have death, right? And consciousness is the fluctuating hands that holds the magnet, and it's just like moving it around. Like, where is consciousness at? It's not really on a scale necessarily. It's almost like instead of it being at a perfect like 180-degree angle or a straight line, what we're looking at is that sometimes one side or both sides, like you might notice that there's a tilt where one side of the spectrum is higher or lower than the other, or maybe it's more inward or outward, right? And I believe that might be what consciousness represents, and each of us as individuals are responsible for maintaining the level of magnetism between our positive and negative force that we hold within ourselves. I believe that. Or maybe it's a thing where like we got two negative magnets and the positive force is just in front of us, and our job is to not let it touch necessarily because it destabilizes the structure, but we hold in a way that allows for the attraction to build. I think about Cyborg in the Justice League movie. A lot of people may not have seen that, but when he's like holding the cube And he's like, yo, I can't pull this motherfucker apart because coming together, it's the three cubes, the mother box, or whatever the fuck they are. And he's trying to separate them because if they come together, that's when they destabilize. And I see a lot of that as I'm looking at the atomic living model. And I'm living this and making an effort to put it into language that I'm able to communicate to other people. You know, the structure, the core of the identity of a thing, a solar system, the sun, even, right? The idea is stabilization for all things. Looking at Tanjiro's purpose is so fucking clear. He wants to make his sister human again. He wants to save his sister, and that puts him in environments that reinforce what his purpose is. He believes in fairness. He believes in the highest good. He believes that, he kills these demons and then he prays for them. Like these people tried to kill you, almost did. The brother and sister, Gyro, damn, that's not his name. Guitaro, and his sister, the lady with the sashes that was running the whorehouse, bruh, in the Vegas of Japan or wherever the fuck they were, Tokyo. Come on, bruh. He prayed for them after they cut their heads off. That's gangster. That's the most gangster shit ever. But what's happening is that these conflicts are shaping the ability of the character to maintain rhythm. He is being rewarded with the pleasures of that world, which are for him more training, more reinforcement of his ability to hold true to his nucleus and maintain his purpose and receive the effects of what it means to align with what his intention is and what his purpose is. So Tanjiro goes through, he learns how to do water breathing, he learns the sun breathing, and he remembers how his dad used to do this thing, and in remembrance of that activates this power that's within him, right? Like he sought out training to get like the skills that you you need, right? Basic skills to like defend yourself. How do I use this sword? But the real power that translates through the consistent repetition and skills of him developing his swordsmanship allows for him to carry out what his intention is, to carry out his purpose of bringing his sister back as a human. And there's hope in that. Like his hope drives him forward, and his consistency is consistently meeting him. Like the world around him is responding to his intention, to his commitment as the neutron awareness of it within the nucleus of purpose to stabilize so that everything that orbits falls into place. This is what they mean by falls into place, right? His values are protecting the innocent. He knows that he needs to get stronger, so he does what he has to do to get stronger. And his identity is an empathetic person. This is coming from a fucking 14-year-old. Of course, like I guess like time passes and he gets older. You don't really know how old he is, but that's what's happening throughout the story. Throughout the story, my man is fucking like himself the whole time, and you just see the development of him as he needs to. He steps into these roles. He's like, oh shit, like I'm fighting to protect. I'm fighting to protect. And anybody can do that. Men can do that, women can do that. Like I'm, in my identity as a man, like, and I see in queer spaces that anybody can do that. You know, whatever your anatomy is, whatever your genitals are, whatever your preferences for pleasure are, that shit don't mean nothing. That shit don't mean anything. It just communicates, how you enjoy relating, how you enjoy playing, how you enjoy working, how you enjoy resting, right? Like those kinds of things are influenced. But also, I think that one of the things that I'm learning is presence, identity validation, identity expression. I don't think I've had examples. I think a lot of men, a lot of women, a lot of straight people, many people know who they are, but also I think that a lot of us know who we are at the expense of being able to find out who we could be. I ain't gonna sit up here and say like I've tried being queer. Like I've been in these spaces and I've been able to, see things, experience like the energy of places and just know, oh, okay, well that thing doesn't align for me. And it might be, that I've stretched myself outside my comfort zone just by being in the environments in general. But I want to name too that I think I've been in many more educational queer spaces than I have like playful or fun or party queer spaces. And a few times I have, like, I had a fucking blast. One of my closest friends, I hope she's doing all right. She and I aren't friends anymore, and I think that the falling out was to me, it was over communication around finances. To her, it was that I've not been a good friend to her, which is really wild to me. Um, but yeah, we're no longer friends. And that's actually happened a couple of times now that I'm thinking about it. Through a misunderstanding, though, complete fucking misunderstanding and an unwillingness to like hear one another. So I just let it go. I just chalk it up to it being a misalignment. But the educational spaces that I've been in, I've been able to learn a lot from. Um, Going to these conferences in regards to health, public health, gender health, like these people really care. The cool, chill spaces I've been to have been restorative, relaxing, restful. And these people are just like, I don't understand why. Well, yes, I do. I do understand the attacks because this is a threat. This is a direct, like, alignment of values for me, challenge and liberation. These are two values that orbit my core identity and who I am. Challenge, liberation. These people challenge the status quo. And these are people who are, I would argue, are liberated. Like they're not free, like external world, but internal world. Like to be able to walk up in a room full of just fucking strangers, people, sometimes quote safe or intentional spaces, sometimes not, hostile environments, to walk around in this world with a fucking beard and a pair of titties and you're not fat. Like the world's confused, but that existence challenges people because like, well, why the fuck are you confused? What are you confused by? Why is this how you, yeah, one dimensionally you are visually experiencing somebody, but that's not the whole of experiencing the existence of a person. And I do my best to empathize because part of the empathy for me is, you know, being in these spaces where I'm not that. Like I'm very fucking plain. I'm very fucking vanilla presenting, right? I work out. So I was a former athlete. I'm tall. I'm black. I'm straight. There's not a lot of us in these spaces. So like I have discomforts and I wonder like, damn, is this what y'all feel like? Is this what y'all feel like all the time? Right? But I've become, more comfortable being in the spaces, right? And it's been a practice for me to experience queerness without like making it mine or trying to like take it or take it over. I remember someone said to me, I think it was about 2 years ago. There's about this time 2 years ago, I was at a conference in 2023, and someone said to me, "There's someone who doesn't give a fuck about gender, someone I very very much look up to and respect." And what they said to me was like, "Why aren't there more? Like, what do we gotta do to get more men here? Or like, how do we get more men here?" And I remember thinking to myself, I didn't want to say this at the time. I guess I could say it now. Like, we'll take this shit over and make it like something that's useful, right? Like this space of play, it very much does threaten the status quo of things, the order of things. And it looks like chaos because, I mean, it's chaos in terms of like the peace and the comfort of the powers that be. And I don't think I had language for it at the time, but I knew. I was like, the simple way to put it is, we'll fuck this up. It's beautiful as it is. Don't let us fuck this up. Like, there needs to be a transition process of welcoming men into this space with an understanding of like, this ain't mine to dominate or take over, or I have power. Like, I recognize that I have power. I recognize that I have privilege. I recognize that I have access, right? I recognize that, and I hold it. I think I do a damn good job of holding true to my identity and what my purpose and intentions are. And I wouldn't have been able to do that 3 years ago, 2 years ago, yeah, 3 years ago. Yeah, I don't know. And I sit here and I'm just reflecting on how much I've learned about presence and identity expression and identity validation through Black women, Black femmes, queer people in these educational spaces. I think like maybe that's why like I don't feel I don't really feel like I belong anywhere necessarily. Um, because I guess I'm not like around people who look like me or necessarily carry my experiences and values. Like I said, I grew up in like it wasn't the fucking hood. Motherfuckers wasn't getting shot where I was from. We was doing shit we had no business doing. People were selling drugs. People were around that my mom didn't want me interacting with. And then like, yeah, it was low income. People were stealing from each other and shit like that. We fought, but we played. We had fun, man. Like, I had fun playing Killer Man. That's where we throw the football in the air, and there's like fucking 12 of us, and whoever get it, you gotta try and run to the end zone, but everybody trying to tackle you and take the ball from you. Like, that's the kind of shit that we got to do as boys, roughhousing, playing, becoming men who were fundamentally physically built for the friction, the pressure, like the external pressures of the world. But there wasn't room for, ow, like that fucking hurt, don't do that again. It was, I'll shut your bitch ass up, get up, walk it off, right? When there wasn't room for the intention behind things because everything was performative. You wanted points, you wanted the bragging rights, you wanted the swag points of breaking tackles, running motherfuckers over. You wanted, this how you got your credit. This was survival. This how you became that nigga. Somebody disrespects you, you get your respect. You fight, right? Like, this is how I grew up. Somebody hit my little brother. I beat up a fucking, I was 17. I beat up a fucking 13-year-old for putting his hands on my little sister. I beat his ass. And that's something that I've never played around with, has been my sister, yes. Uh, and there's reasons for that. Like, I love her to death. I don't talk to her enough. I ain't there a lot, but when I've been there, I like to say I've been there. And yeah, like, somebody hit my little brother. Like, my brothers are 5, 6, and 12 years younger than me, and I don't play about that. I got bit by a nigga. This nigga bit me, y'all. We was fighting in the front yard. He bit me. I forgot how fights like broke up or stopped in neighborhoods, because they don't really last long. It's just like somebody lose, somebody win, and that's it. People see it, and then you that nigga, or you that nigga that got his ass whooped. um, But yeah, like I think about how these things shape me into like you don't talk about that. It's here's the external thing. It happened, you win, good. You lose, like you get another whooping. It ain't even no lesson. It ain't even no like talking or teaching behind that shit. It's just like guidance for behaviors. And I think about how that translates into sports, man, playing sports. It's all performance based. The niggas you looked up to, they got touchdowns, they got buckets, they got points, they won, right? So it's no wonder that men have the values that make up the archetype of what it means to be a man. We look up to sports, and I look at sports and politics as the same. Like politics is the money, the white man money version of what sports is. Not to say that like white people ain't athletic. Like I'm not saying that, but you look at politics and you look at sports and it's the same shit, but different. It's the same but different, right? Like we have investments in both, in either or. You see a lot of, men more so quantitatively invested in sports than you do politics. And qualitatively, you see a lot more investment in politics than sports because like these motherfuckers that can't play sports, but they can control shit like sports or benefit from sports. And I think that's where there's an opportunity. There's opportunity there. I have a lot of these deep ass reflections and don't have any place to share them because I'm emotionally intense. I just had I, I I have had emotionally intense experiences uh recently that were reminders of that. And I recognize in hindsight like why a lot of my heterosexual relationships didn't work out with women. And I think it's been because of that, right? Like you expect a straight black man to just almost be fucking robotic, right? Like this is how you are, this is who you are. And there's no room for becoming. There's not been room for me to fuck up. There's not been room for me to explore. There's not been room for me to play. There's not been room for me to get shit wrong. Whereas I see queer people who embrace that shit. Like in these environments, you can be wrong. You can say, I don't know. I used to get in trouble for saying, I don't know. Like as a man, you cannot not know. You can't be wrong. And as an adult, man, watching that shit play out, like that's something that I think played out in my last relationship is because I had to be so certain about something, even if I was uncertain about it, even if it conflicted with who I am, because this is what it means to be a man. When you're a man, like you prioritize your woman. She don't have to do shit. You take care of her. You provide for her. You robotically navigate the world. You yes ma'am, no ma'am, right? Like this was the shit that I was taught. And part of it too was like my upbringing being like, you can't you can't be wrong. Like it just you need to know. Whether you're right or wrong, you need to know. I don't give a fuck. Like, and if you lying or if you wrong, that's better than saying I don't know. And even if you lie, you got time to go and try and make that lie a reality or the truth, right? And yeah, like the reflections of this shit of how I grew up, like I don't know that there is a place or has been a place, especially like as men, I think we're seeing it more on social media, but social media is 100% dumbing that shit down. It's Men's Mental Health Month and it's Pride Month. My men's mental health content, anything that I'm sharing, gets less visibility than the sex content, the sexuality content, or the queer stuff that I share. And that's even low. So like even the algorithm is reflective of this shit, man, of like suppressing like men's liberation, black men's liberation, right? Like because we're not like they said this too at the ASEC conference. Patriarchy affects everybody, and I benefit for sure, but I also don't. right? Like it's a man's world. It is. The man's values uphold the fundamental structures that make up it holds, what did I say, the fundamental structures that um yeah, it upholds the fundamental structures of oppression to others that also allow for us to thrive, if you will, if you can fucking even call it that. Because I'm thriving on the inside energetically, in my identity. I'm fucking thriving. My outside world is beginning to be more reflective of my inside world and responsive to it. And I think that this might be a manifestation of like some newness here because of it being reinforced in environments that I've deprived myself of over the last like year and a half. I've deprived myself of them as I am. And again, like this is on me. Like I've tried to change to conform to a world that isn't one that aligns with my identity. And I've been invalidating my own fucking identity by being in environments that are not reflective of challenge and liberation. You know, being in the kind of relationship structure I was in, like that environment was very invalidating of my identity. And I fought so fucking hard to just like conform. Just change, Courtney. Like change your purpose. Change your belief system. Change how you interact with the world. And that force, man, like the way stars work as atoms, the same way that we work as atoms. Like there's heat, there's pressure, there's buildup, there's constant testing and absorption and jumping of electrons around the atom and the dust and the molecules around stars. And all it's doing is becoming, it's taking that shit in and it's transforming. The star is shedding, it's dying. And that's what this was, an identity of mine that I created and died. And this shit has been hard. The becoming of who I am, like in this moment right now in Las Vegas, leaving the ASEC conference on Sunday, June 8th at 7:25 a.m. Pacific time. This person that I am right now was molded by the tornado that just fucking took my home, that I just fucking got into, that I settled in, that I put, I put my fucking wall mount TV up only for all of this to be taken away. Like soon as I got settled, I was like, you know what? I'm home. This is my environment. I'm about to make my environment. Nah, fuck that. Tornado was like, nah, nigga, this ain't where you supposed to be at. We ain't tell you to go to St. Louis. You did that. You ran off. You decided that you wanted to go play house, that you wanted to prioritize a relationship. You wanted to make what was your safe space a business to appease or please someone else, to reinforce something that is not to be reinforced for you, that is not for you. And I think that the tornado, my college roommate passed away, and I didn't know how much that affected me. But fuck, dude, he's my age. He was that nigga. I looked up to him, right? Like I'm the oldest of five, and I'm older than them by enough years to where we didn't grow up together. We grew up differently, and I value the relationships that I had, the friendships, the connections, my teammates, my football player teammates, man, and how like these were people I looked up to. These were my big brothers, and that shit hurt weirdly. It was a weird kind of pain because I didn't know what to do with it. I didn't know I could have it. Even the guys that I talked to who knew him, like we didn't know we didn't know how to process this shit. We didn't know what this meant, and he wasn't himself for so long, and like there's a little bit of regret of damn, what would have happened if I reached out? But he died. What would have happened if we knew? What would have happened if he was around? Like there's so many fucking what ifs. It's crazy. And then moving home, right? Like I failed again at another failed relationship. 0 for 4. I'm 0 for 4. And thinking to myself, like, yo, this it. This it. I ain't gotta worry about dating no more. I ain't gotta worry about getting to know somebody. Like I'm immersing myself into this experience fully. Like this my person. And in that immersion, like just missing things that were like, nah, this ain't aligned. And even in those moments, being like, okay, it don't align. Let me change. Let me adjust myself appropriately. And that ain't how relationships supposed to work, right? Like I say this, right? We want to nurture the other person's nature. Like my nature should be nurturing to my partner's nature, and vice versa. And not knowing who you are, not knowing what you value, you miss shit. And you begin to try and position or align yourself to the other person, or you begin to try and position and align the other person to you. And this is where more of that friction comes. And I'm so grateful. I'm grateful for that friction. I'm grateful for that relationship. I'm grateful for the ending of the relationship, because I think that that was probably the most friction that I've had in a really long time. My herpes diagnosis gave me friction. That period between high school and college, not knowing where the fuck I was gonna go to college, knowing that all I wanted was to play football. I wanted to play football for as long as I could. I got about 2 years into college. I was like, yeah, I ain't going to the league. I'm gonna do my best here. That transition between getting out of college and like having to get a job and going into the real world, the friction of that shit was hard. But all these moments, like these key moments in my life, the same way stars do, they form and create a new identity, a new sense of purpose. And these stars become their own fucking solar systems or whatever kind of system they are, giving birth to new molecular structures where atoms bond and, create fucking other stars, and rocks form and planets form and elements and beings and existences and ways of being. And that's what's happening right now. That's what's happening for me in my own world. And I gotta give credit to just these spaces, these people, the presence that I've learned through being in queer spaces, queer educational spaces as a straight black man. And that's an experience that I'm very fortunate to have been welcomed into. I don't get the discrimination of, oh, nigga, you straight, get out of here. Get your straight ass out of here. Get your straight ass out of here. I ain't never heard that before. That's funny. But I if it's something that happens to, you know, queer people often, like the discrimination and like this intersectionality. Dr. Donna Oriola, she said this in her talk yesterday. She said, how are you integrating intersectionality into your work? And I think that the intersectionality that I may have not been integrating into my work is like my own lived experiences. Because it's always felt like it's not really been a place for it. Like, yeah, I share, but like, how often, like, am I sharing more than I got herpes? Or, oh, here's how that therapy session went. But I'm not sharing like giving, I guess maybe this is like a new birth of a experience, right? Like straight queer lens stuff. I don't fucking know. But like I'm straight by standards of who I had sex with, who I put my mouth on, who I let put their mouth on me, right? Like, is that really the defining factor of a person's existence, identity? Right? Like, why do people who I'm not having sex with care who I have sex with? And I'm very much like, I know what my body responds to positively with presence, and I know what my body is not responsive to. I can say that with confidence. But also, like, the over identification with things is where I think that there's the most suffering. So people overly identified with their straightness, their sexuality, with, you know, let me check the time. All right, I got about 15 minutes and I got to stop talking. But the over identifications with sexuality, with gender, with masculinity, with femininity, with power, these over identifications, man, they're I don't know if polarizing is the word, but going back to the imagery of holding a negative side magnet and a positive side magnet, and just like maintaining the electrical pull between the two, like that is what that's where we are. Like, we're in that space. And collectively, the more of us who can recognize and remember that we are the force that not only is between opposing those opposing, you know, poles of a magnet, but we are also collectively responsible for how it is positioned, right? Like, is shit too close to the point where it's about to like shift and destabilize and fucking collapse in on itself? Or are we able to just maintain a rhythm where there's a healthy flow of the energy between the two poles, right? Like, the politics ain't going nowhere. Sports ain't going nowhere. Oppressive systems ain't going nowhere. But how we engage with them motherfuckers, that is. And like, I watched I was looking at clips from Attack on Titan, which is another anime that I've learned a lot from. And the main character is all about freedom, but he recognized like he was fucking brainwashed. And when he found out, he was pissed. Like, this nigga watched his mom get eaten alive by these systems of oppression. He watched it, literally watched his mom get eaten. Now, the fantasy of it, you know, I'm not going to speak to the fantasy of it. If you want to watch it, watch it. But you see perfectly how religion, politics, and the military and wealth run the narratives of the world. And those people don't suffer. The people responsible for it, they ain't suffering. The people who, you know, resist, the people who are living in it, that's who suffers. And the main character he had to become the force, like, combined of all of these systems. You look at what the nine titans represent, right? The military had titans. The wealthy family had a titan. Religion had the founding titan. And when he saw the truth, he was very fucking committed to freedom. And that was what drove him forward. He became the embodiment of freedom. And then there's like the, you know, the fantasy elements of it, right? Like the powers and shit like that. But he had to infiltrate these systems, understand how they work and weave in together, and then take them motherfuckers out. He didn't take them over. He took them motherfuckers out. This nigga he ate them. He ate the Fritzes. He literally fucking ate them up. That whole thing about eat the rich, this nigga did that shit. Aaron Yeager. Look up the synopsis of Attack on Titan. But that's what drove him. You know, he was committed to it, and he was committed to his purpose at the expense of love, at the expense of having a family. Like, he lost everything and was just committed to he was committed to that thing that drove him. And if you're somebody that's listening and maybe this resonates with you, like, what drives you? Is it freedom? What is it? I know it drives me. Like, and the ability to be present. I'm learning that. I'm learning presence through the kinds of relationships that I'm engaging with, how like time just doesn't fucking matter. Time is for the coordinates of where to be. That's what time is. Aging is just this body doing what it's supposed to do. Like we're upholding atoms and molecular structure for the forwardness of consciousness, to project the forwardness of consciousness onward. And anything that is a threat to that is really what needs to be enlightened. So, another thing I loved about what Donna said, Dr. Donna Oriolo said yesterday at her talk at the ASEC conference. I love the title too, because it was like, you got me fucked up. uh, POV was power of violence. God damn it, politics of violence. I think I ain't got it on me right now, but the thing that she said. What did she say? What did she say? Fuck. I did. I tried to give her credit and then just forgot the thing that I was talking about. But I'm learning presence. I'm learning presence through these spaces, through the education of Black women, of like these things that I wasn't taught. Like I wasn't even taught how to be a man. I wasn't even taught how to exist. But I'm watching people who are so fucking bravely out loud in a time where, is literally is getting people killed. Like being is getting people killed. It's getting people beat up in the streets. It's getting them sprayed up with mace. This shit ain't safe for a lot of people. And the whole idea, oh, I remember what I was gonna say. She said, don't cut your people off, right? Like you're the only person that a person might talk to or that they'll listen to. And I hear from a lot of motherfuckers, oh, I cut them off. I cut this person off. I ain't talking to them no more. I'm cutting my family off. I'm excommunicado. That's not helping nobody. And I don't think I've ever had the language of being able to like say that, but I always thought that was fucked up when people said, "Oh, I'm not talking to so and so for my mental health." All right, cool, but like, and even for me, like, I talking to my dad, like I talk to my dad about politics, and I more so like listen to understand. And I don't think that I really necessarily, I don't challenge my dad enough in politics, and that was one of the bigger takeaways from the talk that she did. I was like, damn, okay, you know what? I don't. I can definitely, like, when we get in these discussions, start to push back and just be like, look, this is what you're speaking to, and this is like talk to me. Because I don't think he has that. My dad isn't challenged. I'm the only person who will challenge my dad. We've had conversations about what are we talking about? We talking about like gun violence and gun control. My dad loves his guns. And some of the conversations that we've had, even, I won't say like reflect anything about manliness or masculinity, but the conversations, you can tell that he values my opinion. He values what I have to say. And I think part of it is probably because I am cautious in what I speak to and how I speak, and like, not like I'm being quiet and shy, but like I know the weight of the things that I do say when I say things. And it's important that I maintain that. All right, I'm almost ready to get up out of here. But yeah, in wrapping this up, man, like I have really learned about presence through these queer educational spaces. As a straight Black man, we're not really like marketed to or spoken to about these things, or maybe we don't give a fuck. We don't see queerness in spaces that we're, to quote, supposed to be. Like we're funneled into sports, we're funneled into media, or like playing or rapping. Like you want to be a rapper, you want to be an actor, you want to be so successful that we like miss these middle ground markers of what it means to also be successful, or we're overlooked because this structurally there's these structural. I don't have the academics behind it. I got lived experience, and I'm piecing together shit that makes sense, that allows for me to recall experiences that overlap. All right. So I'm going to just name that here and now. But it's not a fucking there isn't anybody talking to us in a way that I think most of us understand. I love anime. I fucking hate Jordans. I don't hate them. I just have no desire to spend hours in line, time and money that I really ain't got to be spending on those shoes in the first place. I ain't got it in me. Like, and this is like these are very like stereotypical stigmatizing things. Like rap music these days, this shit is trash, bruh. My favorite shit is when Drake talking, and when Drake be talking, usually he talking about a relationship with a woman, and like he was too emotionally intense, and he got demons and shit to work out, and he fucked up the relationship. That's the most relatable rap that I listen to. I got a whole breakup playlist of mostly Drake, and then Averb Heartbroken. That's my shit. That's my shit. I've been listening to that one on repeat. I was like, I ain't gonna say I was crying. I don't think I was crying on the plane, but I was laughing when I was listening to the words. I was like, damn. But yeah, this is where we at? I got like 5 minutes till my alarm goes off. All right, yeah, I want to go ahead and conclude this. Presence, queerness, there's an overlap. My relationships reflect back to me, challenge, liberation. Um, yeah, I've been able to find my values through these. Like my heterosexual relationships were not ones of challenge and liberation, they were actually ones of oppression. And I saw in a lot of people at these workshops, they put heteronormative, monogamous, white, shit, what were some of the other categories? A lot of these things where people not only uphold oppression but like participate in it. And as a man, I have participation in it. Um, but like a lot of those other things, like I think that I adopt intersections of what like is acceptable in queerness but isn't acceptable in straightness. And I get the privilege of being able to like have it modeled for me what it means to live out loud. And that's what self does for me. Self is me being able to live this out loud and process this shit and talk it out like real time as I'm experiencing it, hopefully to inspire somebody else to be able to live this shit. um, I love when my nerdy black dudes reach out to me, the ones that like anime, the ones that might be looked at weird for also dating interracially. I ain't talking about like the niggas that just hate black women. That's not who I'm speaking to. I'm speaking to the ones who we like who we like. We like who likes us, and whatever the other bits and pieces of that are, I ain't really got no control over. Some of it is maybe a trauma response. That's something that we can speak on as well. But just the ones that are not reflected in media, whose experiences, whose identities are not reflected. Like I'm here, hopefully, being somebody who can resonate at that intersection of blackness and straightness and manliness, masculinity through a lens of vulnerability. And again, I'm learning this from black women. I'm learning this from queer spaces. And the threat of erasure of that, it does infuriate me. I'm getting angry again the same way that I did when I learned that people with herpes wanted to end their lives, the same way that suicide has like fueled my anger. I think that I'm feeling very protective of queerness, of blackness, of the the beauty, the inspiration, the presence that is in these spaces, as it is like progressing consciousness forward. It ain't sending nothing backwards. It's threatening somebody's way of living. Damn, what Dr. Donna was spitting yesterday. if you get a chance to, uh, if you get a chance to hear her speak, like it's always been nice. I think I've seen her present twice in my lifetime, in my last 2 years of going to conferences. 23, 24, yeah, 23 and 24 or 25. It's the year 2023, the year 2024, and the year 2025. Okay, so I'm in the third year of conferences. All right, let me go ahead and close this out, y'all. Thank you for listening. Appreciate it. Thanks for letting this be a space where I can talk this out. So now it's like more practiced and formulated to where I can write about it, and I can. I think I should have a transcription coming because I upgraded my motherfucking voice notes so I can use the transcriptions to make better content. Um, so it's easier to consume. But yeah, thank y'all for being here. Thanks for listening. Thanks for liking, sharing, whatever it is that you do with this. This podcast only get like a handful of downloads. I had one episode that did 11. I was like, who did that? Who was y'all? How you find this? I till next time, and stay present.